You're listening to the Simmer Down radio program. That was Snugit Loose. Before that, Snugit Loose. Probably a bunch of Snugit Loose. A little bit of K-Bong in
A
there.
little bit.
But we got Tyler of Snugit Loose on the phone right now. Tyler, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. What's happening, man?
What is going on, man? It's so great to finally get you on the air because it is so well deserved.
Man, I appreciate that. You know, I've been waiting for my opportunity, so I'm real happy to be on here with you, man.
Well, we're happy to have you, man. Let's get into it. So you have a very, very unique story here, and I'm going to tell the listeners a little bit about, you know, how I met you and how this all went down. So I was tour managing a band called The Elevators, as people know, and you came on the radar as, you know, some people say fans. I don't like that name. I like family. And
I'm with you.
we started chatting, and then, you know, it started blossoming. And one day you sent me this track, and I listened to it, and I was like, oh, who is this guy? This is amazing. I mean, truly, honestly, Tyler, like, you know, I let Link listen to it, a couple other people, and, you know, everybody was just like, man, that's a sound and a half. Tell us about how you got to this present point here.
Man, you know, like you said, it's been a long journey. You know, something that some people know. I always say that it was very unexpected. You know, I started a little bit later in life only because, you know, after high school and everything and going through what I did then, I joined the military, and, you know, all of my 20s were spent in and out, you know, on the ocean, overseas, doing crazy stuff. And, you know, I picked up a guitar here and there, you know, and jammed a little bit, you know, to pass the time, but was still only something to just pass the time. You know, it was something I never really considered being a reality, you know. And then, you know, as life always does, it sends you in another direction. You know, I get out of the military and went through some life changes, and, you know, I ended up moving around the country, and, you know, really started to pick up when I moved back to my dad's farm in Illinois to assist him with some things on his farm, and kind of hit the reset button in my life. And, you know, I ended up pulling this guitar out of a trash can when I moved away from Florida, brought it back with me, and thought, you know, maybe it's time to start messing around again. You know, I had a loop pedal, one amp, and my guitar, and so I started making these loops, and then kind of led into writing songs. And, you know, with the support of mostly one of my best friends at the time, Brandon, he really pushed me, you know, and said, hey, man, your stuff is awesome. Why don't you try to, you know, do something with it? And so I slowly just kind of enjoyed writing music that was related to my life and what I was going through, but with no extra thought into it. You know, I just kind of let things flow. And then, you know, before you know it, I moved back to North Carolina, just felt like the right thing to do. And that's kind of about the time frame when I ran into you online, and, you know, then I met you at that show in Emerald Isle, where the Elevators were playing. And, man, it really started to take off there, and I just thought, let's just see what happens. You know, I had a few people supporting me enough to push me forward, and, man, it's just been unexpectedly nonstop progress, and I'm good with it, man. It's been a lot of fun.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Simmer Down 90.3 The Rock. You're late, but it's okay. We got Tyler of Snugit Loose on the phone. If you haven't heard of him, now you have. You really got to check this guy out. And, man, it's just such a crazy every artist has a crazy story, but, I mean, for somebody in the music industry like me to find someone in the family that just really just goes out to shows, you know, and just as a spectator, and then I find this golden nugget, this super talent within you, man. It was just such a wild feeling, and you have released. I mean, you are just nonstop making music. I mean, how many singles did you have? And now, as of Friday, you have your debut record called "Somewhere Else." Tell us about that.
Well, as you said, man, with all the singles and everything, it just got to the point where as you know, personally, man, I'm, always sending you the samples, and especially, a year and a half ago, man, I was sending you these constant demos that I was writing, and I don't know, I guess I'm fortunate enough to have the ability to just let loose constantly, just whatever's in me just comes out, and I'll get these moments where I'm like, hey, let me pick up the guitar and or maybe it's a vocal idea, and I just lay it down, and I just can't stop. I got to get at least the demo, the foundation of it done, and next thing you know, I've got 100 tracks, and it's like, well, now what do I do with them?
You really do have it. He does. Sorry to interrupt you, but you do have like 100 tracks. He's like Ian Young over here, like. Like he's, I mean,
yeah.
You have you sent me so many tracks, and every single one of them was so good. Sorry to interrupt you there. Go ahead. Just had to say that.
No, you're good, man. Well, and it's what's crazy about it all is that I don't think that if there's anything I want people to understand, it's that here I am, this guy that is about to turn 37 years old. As I've said, this is all unexpected, way later in life, but I'm glad I'm doing it. But I don't think people understand, too, that this isn't me going into a studio with high-tech equipment. What I'm doing is taking a little iRig into my iPhone. I sit on my couch, with my family around, and I put in some headphones, and I record everything through GarageBand on my iPhone, and I just tweak it the best I can. I get everything as good as I can, and as you know, I send it off to Scott Nichols of Be the Lion Productions, and he's been so instrumental and so kind and so willing to just take on my music and do his best, which he's done a fantastic job to, just take it to the next level before we send it off to Toft Willingham out in California.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about Be the Lion Productions. I've talked about Be the Lion on this radio show many times. Scott is amazing, man. I on my side personally, I've been wanting to do music until, I've been on the road and all that, couldn't do it, but I finally had that chance when, the Jamdemic hit and, started making music with him. And like what you said, he just is so relaxed and so helpful. He's almost like a teacher too. And, being a producer is so much more than just, working on the levels. Tell everybody about how dope Scott is and Be the Lion Productions.
Man, as I was saying, the guy was so kind to just initially even take me in at all. And really, I think, he offered to work on my stuff. I don't want to say for free. I mean, I compensate the man, but he's taken on my music because he found something different, something a little bit unique in a time where there is a lot of copycat music out there, and I respect them all. I respect those guys and what they're doing. But for me, I just gave him what I was doing, and he loved it, and he's been willing to constantly stay in contact, whether it's text, phone, email. We do our little notes back and forth, and he's just been plugging away at it nonstop. But, the one thing that he said that I love is that because my music's a little bit different from what he's used to doing, it kind of, helps him learn too and grow, as well as, vice versa it does for me too. So we learn from each other, and man, it's just been a blast working with him.
It is a blast working with him. As you know, I work with him too, and it's like he's a teacher and he's helping you through the process, and he is learning as well. We're all learning together. And, there's a lot of producers out there that can come off as, kind of crappy. But they're good at what they do. But Scott doesn't take that direction, and it's a really interesting direction. If anybody's, just tuning in, we're talking with Tyler from Snugit Loose, and we're talking about our producer, Scott Nichols of Be the Lion Productions, at Be the Lion Productions. Please check this out if anybody's interested in getting started, or if they're, all the way down the road, know what they're doing and want to get in the studio and do something and have a really good time. You need to check out Be the Lion Productions because, I was sitting, I remember this distinctly. I was sitting in the studio with him one day, and we were kind of going over the new normal, that single that I released last year, the first
Yeah.
one. And I was like, you know what, Scott, I want to show you somebody. And he's like, who? He's like, this is my buddy Tyler, and he's got this thing called Snugit Loose. And he listened to that. I don't know what track it was, and he was like, whoa, whoa, okay. And then fast forward now, it's like this family, and it's
Oh
so
man, it is.
so cool. If you guys are just tuning in, you're late. You're really late this time. You hear Blue in the background. You're late, but you can start here, I guess. I'm talking with Tyler of Snugget Loose. He's a new artist, and man, I really have. I see these big things for you, man, and I really want you to keep doing what you're doing. But this is not an easy game. It is
No.
not. The struggle is so real. Tell us about just how hard it can be to become a musician and make a name for yourself. And what advice do you have for someone who's trying to do this, especially with what craziness social media is pulling right now?
Man, I mean, as I said earlier, to do this in my mid-30s, that's already, for most people, that's going to be a unique situation because, I'm still trying to improve in my everyday life, with my career and everything else that I've already had set in place. Who knows what the future holds. But, I've got my wonderful wife, Lauren. She supports me and really helps me get through the day-to-day stuff. And, I've got my small circle of friends that really have supported me as well. But it's tough when you have to balance work, a 40 to 60-hour a week job that I do as a foreman for a construction company. And then I come home, and I got my life at home with the kids and, mowing the grass, all that stuff. You've got your other stuff going on. So you're trying to break into the game, especially someone like me who hasn't put a full band together yet, which, hopefully someday in the near future will happen. But I'm doing this on my own. As far as the writing cycle goes and all that stuff, I'm trying to fit that in. And then on top of that, I'm trying to figure out how can I market my material the best. I do it all myself. I don't have all the money in the world to spend on all that stuff. So I try to figure all those things out just so I can stay relevant enough to keep my name out there, and it's a lot of work. I mean, constant posts, putting your almost, I hate to say it, but you almost have to be annoying sometimes, in order to really make progress. And I've had other artists, up and coming guys, ask me and say, "Hey man, how are you getting your songs on the charts?" And the music speaks for itself, but also you have to put the work in. I mean, I'm telling people constantly. I have my constant supporters, that are always helping me as well. But it is work. You've got to stay constant when you have the time. So it's not easy. That's all I can say on that.
Yeah, and when it comes to the social media, I mean, Facebook just bought Instagram, and YouTube is now a direct competitor of Facebook. So if you ever post a YouTube video, unless it gets a massive viral hit, Facebook is going to pull the algorithm down on that. I don't know if anybody knows that out there. And also,
Yeah.
if you are posting anything from your personal account or from your business account, band account in our case, any promotional anything, it is going to pull that algorithm down. If it sees a link to this or keywords, it's going to pull that down unless you are paying for marketing for it. And there's ways to get around this, but it's become such a weird thing. And I really feel this at some point, this momentum going back to promoting from the roots and building from within a region or a local area and stuff. It's just so hard, and I'm so proud of you, man. Like, I've been looking at your stream counts and everything, and I think somewhere else got to number 4, number 5. I mean, within a year of you doing this, and with virtually nobody knowing who you are at that point. Hey, radio clap, golf clap, baby. I mean, that's I'm so proud. We are all so proud of you. And
No,
real
I
quick,
appreciate that.
of course, real quick, tell everybody how we can find you real quick.
You know, on all the social media, I mean, you just go, you can either search Snugit Loose, at Snugit Loose. Same thing, I don't really use my YouTube channel too much yet, maybe in the future, but you can still search Snugit Loose on there. And, you know, it's pretty simple. Just search the name and I'll show up.
Speaking of the name, I know what it means. Blue knows what it means, but the world doesn't know what it means. What does Snugit Loose mean?
Man, many people have asked, and I kind of give a similar but different answer every time. But the quick story of it is, you know, my best friend Brandon and I back in the Navy, so we played guitar to pass the time together. And to be honest, I don't even exactly remember when or how we came up with it, but we ended up coming up with that name as a joke back then for just the two of us playing. And but it's always had that idea of, you know, snug it, meaning keep it tight, and then loose, obviously, meaning kind of relax, you know. So it's like keep it tight, but stay relaxed. And I've always kind of liked that idea of using that in my music, you know, having a real tight foundation on my music, but at the same time, it's kind of fun and it's a little bit of that let loose feeling to it, you know.
It absolutely does. And when you first told me the name, I don't know if you remember, I was like, that's cool. I just don't really get it. But then you told me what it meant, and it's blossomed, and people are starting to know what it is now. So if you don't know what that is and what that means, now you do. You got to keep it tight, but you always have to keep it loose as well. You can't just do one thing. And I think that's such a cool name, and I think it going forward, it's really going to work for you. I know we got just a little bit of time left here. I hope you and your wife and your family are having such a wonderful Sunday. Everybody wants to know. I want to know. Blue wants to know what's coming up. I know you got 5 billion zillion other songs that you're going to be releasing, but what's the future, man?
So let me tell you real quick, and then if I have a second, I'd like to shout out a few people real quick.
Absolutely.
But real quick, so what's coming up? The next thing on the list is I've got an EP that I'm announcing right now that will be coming out to be determined. But I have an EP with the West Coast hip-hop artist T Chronic, and it's a little team-up collab effort, and that's going to be called Chronically Loose. And that's going to be approximately 5-song EP. You got some guest artists on there, man, and it's got the classic Snugit Loose sound, but it's going to have a little bit of a flair to it. So we're looking forward to that. We're working on that right now. Should be finished mixing it pretty soon here. And then, you know, I'm slowly already working on new songs for the second album. I have no idea when that will come out, so we're going to take our time on this one. But just continue to write. You know, I've got people hitting me up for collabs, so working on some things. And let me go ahead and shout out some people real quick while I got them on my mind here. I wanted to say a big thank you to Craig, Muffin But Good Vibes, man, for just being a good friend. Got a muffin collab coming out with him. Did the song for him. He's a great guy and makes awesome muffins out there in San Diego. Matty Stump. My boy Matt, he's my artist for most of my stuff. Heck of an artist, and you've seen his art on a lot of my covers. I got David Shaw making the shirts right now. He's killing it. The shirts are quality. I got some on the way for both of you guys.
Hey.
And then, yeah, man, it's going to be on the way soon. But let me, real quick, I got to shout out some of my biggest supporters, and I'm going to leave a few people out here. But the behind-the-scenes supporters, I got Calais, I got Amy, I got Kai, I got Caitlin, Jamie, Allison, John, Paige, Lori Beth, Ryan, everybody else. You know who you guys are. And, of course, Alex, man, you've always been one of my number ones. And, man, I truly appreciate everyone, man. This has just been awesome.
Well, you deserve it, man. You know, when I hear something, if it's real good and real different, and I knew it was, you know, I'm gonna support it until the end. And then on top of that, you're just a wonderful soul, man. And sky's the limit for you, man. Don't ever let anybody tell you anything less than that. Remember that.
Nah, man, I'm gonna keep on going for sure.
So Somewhere Else it's out, man. Your debut record is out. You've done it. And who knows, man? Who knows where this is going to go? I think I know where it's going to go. I think it's going to go up to the stars. And if you guys are interested in checking out this record, it's called Somewhere Else, Snugitloose, Snugit Loose. Make sure you keep it tight, but make sure you are always keeping it loose as well.
That's it.
And, man, I know we'll talk more and more soon. I've been working a whole lot. Me and Blue got the radio show going again, but man, we've got so many more good times to come. And I'm going to leave it with one last question because everybody gets this question when it's the first time they get on the phone with me. You ready?
What's up?
All right. What does reggae mean to you?
What does reggae mean?
What does reggae mean to you?
What does reggae mean to me? That's a great question, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you. If we're talking old school, I always liked the message, man. There was a lot of unity, but there was also a lot of politics in it. But for me, being that reggae is it is a big part of my music, a big portion of it. But to me, man, reggae is it's that let loose feeling, but it's so relaxing at the same time. It's just the perfect collab of sounds that just puts you in that right mood, man.
Correct. You have a correct answer. We have a correct answer. Congratulations. Tyler, thank you so much for calling in, man. It's been a pleasure. I've been wanting to get you on the air and show you to the world for a long time now, especially since me and Blue have started this radio show again. And one more time, how can we find you?
Hey, look me up, Snugit Loose, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you feel like. I appreciate everybody who's supporting me. You guys are awesome. And if you haven't heard me yet, I appreciate you checking me out, and we'll be having some more stuff coming soon.
And you're late. You're late. Blue's always got you're late. He loves you're late. Everybody's digging the you're late. Man, thank you so much for calling in. We are going to spin a couple of the, some of the new tracks that you got going on the debut record, Somewhere Else. Once again, man, thank you so much, and we will see you real soon, okay?
Awesome. You guys have a great evening, man.
Peace and love from Knoxville.
Love you guys.
Love you too, man.
All right, peace.
Tyler from Snugit Loose. If you don't know who Snugit Loose is, you're late. You're really late. Somewhere Else is the name of the brand new debut record by Be the Lion Productions. This one's called Sacred Stone featuring Drifting Roots. Let's simmer down right now. Yeah, baby. Sacred Stone. Sacred Stone. This is my home. Sacred stone, this is my home. Like it or not, we are not alone. So keep it clean.